Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back to this series of deep learning. Welcome back to this channel. Right. So in this video, in the last video, I have talked about some of these concepts. Like I've talked about variables. I've talked about strings. I have talked also about conditional statements. Right. So you learn about if else conditions. Right. How to add condition and logic to our Python program. I have learned about that. And in this video, we are going to we are going to cover the remaining topics, and also we are going to solve two practice problems. Okay, so first, I'll just go to my Python environment. I just type collab.research.google.com. Right. And just after some time you will get to the environment. uh, I have talked about this environment in the last video, so I'm just going to open this, open any notebook. Okay, I can open a notebook here, and after some time it, it shows up. So yeah, we have got our environment here. All right, so what we are going to do now is, let's just connect to the runtime. We'll just connect to the runtime, that is we'll connect to the server. So just click on this icon here. You can just, it'll make the collab get connected to the servers. Okay, it is ready for us to write our code, right? We can now start building or just start experimenting with Python. All right, so in the last video you have learned about if statements, and there is another topic, there is a little other topic. In the if statement there is a new statement called elif statement. That's else if. Right, I'll just try to say when we'll be needing that. So in the last video I'll just do a little summary of what we did in the last video, only of these if statements. Right, so let's say I have the name of Joel. Can I say if name equal to Joel? Here equal to sign, I have talked about this in the last video. Equal to means checking if the value, if both the values are equal, right? If they are equal, it is going to return true or false. And in the case of if statement, if this statement is true, then this block of code will run. Then I'm right, I'll just write print hello Joel, else I'm going to print who are you. Right, so you can just understand the statement, right? We have a variable and we are going to check if the variable has the value of Joel. If it does have the value of Joel, we're going to print hello Joel. If not, if it doesn't hold the value of Joel, we're going to print how are you, who are you, sorry. So let's say if there is another condition. Let's say if the name is, let's say if the name is ABCD, maybe there is we have to print another input. Right, for example, if they, right, so let's say the name of this, let's say if the name is, I'll just write another condition, you'll try to understand that. Right, so if elif name is equal to, let's say ABCD, I'm going to say print anything, I'll just say hello ABCD. Right, so here we have three conditions or two conditions. Yeah, we have three conditions, right? So we have, if the name equal to Joel, we are going to run this Python code. If the name is equal to ABCD, we are going to run this code. If not, if both of these conditions are false, we are going to run. Okay, so yeah, here we have we have conditions, right? So if the name is equal to Joel, in the case of the name being Joel, we'll say hello Joel. And if the name is ABCD, we are going to say hello ABCD. Else, if both of these conditions are not true, then we are going to run this block of code. And what is the specialty of else if? Well, if this condition is true, then both of these conditions will not run. Or if this condition is not false, this condition will be checked, right? So you can just understand, right? First we are going to check if name holds the value of Joel. If it is, or we are going to print Joel. If it is ABCD, we are going to do that. And if none of them are true, then we are going to run then we are going to run this part of code. So you can just build something like, you can just say, uh, what is your name, right? You just run an input statement, and then we can just run it. Let's see what's going to happen. Sorry, there is an error. Okay, there is this mark that I shouldn't put. Right? It is going to ask me for my name. What is my name? My name is Joel. If I put in my Joel, it is going to say hello Joel. If I put in something like anything, uh, it is going to say who are you, right? You understand that, right? And if I put in ABCD, it is going to say hello ABCD. Understand, right? So that is the inputs. That is the conditional statements in Python, right? So we have and the thing is, you can add many elif statements, right? You can just say the name equal to, right? You can just add any type of statements that you want, right? You can add any number of statements you want. Okay, anything, right? So you can add any number of statements, and right. So that's it for the conditional statements. And now let's look at something called loops, or we will just look at something called lists, right? So up to now we have looked at some data types. We have looked at integer data types, we have looked at float data types, right? So you have also learned about strings, you have learned about boolean means true or false, right? You have learned about true and false, right? So these are the data types that I have learned. And now what we are going to do is we are going to introduce another data type which can store many values, right? So like, just like vectors, right? So if you have a vector or just a group of numbers, right? So we have 1 2 3 4 5, and this can also be a data type in which you can store multiple values in just one variable. I'll just show you how that works. You can just, let's say a is equal to, I can just put in 1 2 3 4 5, or 1 2 3. All right. So what is happening here is we are going to store all of these values, all of these inputs, into just one single variable a. All right, and I can just print a. If I just print a, then I'm going to get all of these values. So a is called a list, right? So this data type is called list data type, right? So you can just store in, like multiple values in just one variable. All right. And then if you want to add any value to this a, like not like without, like if you want to automate the process of adding any values to this list, you can just say a is equal to a dot append, or I can just say a dot append 4. And if I just print a, let's just see what's going to happen. 1 2 3 4. So what I did here is I have inserted this value number of 4 into this list called a. So for that, what I have did is I have called this a, and I said and I called a function called append. And when I call this function of append, it is go and I can just input any value I want inside this parenthesis, and it is going to add this value into that list. Understand? And if I just print a, you'll get the new list in which there is also 4. All right. And then I think I also have remove. Okay, so I'll just say 3, because four is not on the list, right? So now 4 is not on the list, right? Yes, we have added 4 to the list, but currently as there is no 4 in the list, we are going to remove 3. So we have got an error, list dot remove x is not on the list. So because there is no 4 in the list before, and if I just run a dot remove 3, it is going to remove the value of 3, and we are going to get the new a. So hope you understand the function of list. Let's So if you want to store multiple number of values in just one variable, we are going to use this function of list. So how can you create list? Well, you should just use this square brackets, and inside the square brackets you can put in any type, any number of comma separated values, and it will store it. So that is for the list. And now, uh, so now let's get into loops. So let's say, for example, if you have like if you want to run a piece of code, let's say Joel, like if you want to, let's say if you want to run this code, just run this line of code for like 20 times. What are we going to do? Well, you have an option. We can just, copy paste or something, right? You can just type in the whole 20 sentences, or just copy paste the whole the piece of code, the piece of line, the piece of code for like 20 times. But there is a function in Python called or there is a statement in Python called loops. Right? So in loops we have two types of loops. Just let's show you. Right? So we have two types of loops: for loop and while loop. Right? So we have two types of loops. So why will we use loops? Well, we use loops to, repeat a piece of code for n number of times. Or yeah, we'll just repeat that. We'll just say to Python that it has to run a piece of code for many times. Okay, so let's first see how this for loop works. So what is for loop? I'm just going to write the syntax out. You can just understand that. No, I'll just run it. Right. So I'm just going to just see. I'll explain. So we have for loop here. So you can just write the name literally for loop for, and then I can just go I in range 10. So I'm just going to explain what is happening here. See here, I is a variable, right? So what will happen in for loop is this I will loop through this list. Here range is essentially a list, right? So range of 10, I'll just show you. Wait a minute. So if I just say print range of 10, so here range is a function. If I just do that, wait a minute. Uh, or I'll just have wait a minute, please. Right, so I'll just show you what is going to happen. So here what is going to happen is this range of 10 here, right? So this range of 10 here, this function range of 10 will output me a set of values, right? So here, as we have input and as you have inputted the number of 10, the number 10, we are going to get a list of numbers from 0 to 10, right? So if I just say range of 10, I'm going to get all the values from 0 to 10. Right, so this is what I'm going to get. So if I just call this function and input any parameters, if I say 10, we are going to get all the numbers from 0 to 10. Essentially, yeah, I'm so sorry, we are only going to get numbers from 0 to 9 because the sum is 10. Well, that is what going to happen. If I just put in the range of 10, we'll get a list of 10. And what is going to happen for this I is, right? I is going to go through all of this list, right? We have this list, right? I just want to see. So we have 1 to 10, all these numbers. What is going to happen is I is going to, you know, change its value or go through this list, and every time it goes through a new index, it is going to run this piece of code. Essentially, what is going to happen is this piece is going to run 10 times. This piece of code or this piece of code is going to run 10 times because I will change its value 10 times, and it's going to, go through this list of 10 numbers. If I just run this, you can just see you will just get all these values of up to 0 to 9 because I is going to change this value, right? I is essentially going to, go through this given list of 10 numbers, right? So a range of 10 function will give you a list of 10 numbers, right? And I is going to go through and it is going to change its value, throughout all this given range here. And then if we just print I, we'll get this nine numbers. And if I print Joel in this case, we are going to get Joel 10 times. Why? Because I is going to change its value, and every time it changes its value, this piece of code is going to run, right? So this is the range of 10. This is the user of for loop. This is essentially how you run it. And another thing I can do is just see what I'm going to do. Delete that. Let's say I have a list of names. Mm, let's say I have this list of names. So what I can do is I can just say for I in names, that is what is going to happen is I is going to go through all of these values, and it is going to assign itself uh, all the values of the list, and every time it assigns a new value, it is going to run this piece of code. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to say print names, right? So what is going to happen is let us run it. Wait a minute. Print I, because I is going to change its value. I'm not going to print the list names itself. I'm going to print I, and I'll get all these names. What is going to happen is when I changes it's when I goes through the list, when it assigns itself the name Joel, it is going to print Joel. Why? Because we are just printing I, right? I will change its value to Joel. This piece of code will run. This piece of code says that it has to print the value of I. So thus it prints Joel. Second time it runs it, it is going I is going to hop off to the second item ABCD, and therefore it is going to print ABCD. And then the third time it is going to go to XYZ. So that is why we are getting the value XYZ. So that is the for loop. That is how we can develop a for loop or run a piece of code. So right here I can just write any number of items. Right, I can just say if name, if I equal to Joel, can write anything here. Print hello Joel, else print new name. Let's say if I run this, right? So I can just see here. When I changes its value to Joel, it all right. This piece of code is going to run. Thus, it is going to print Joel first, and then it is going to check if the I has a value of Joel. It has, so it is going to print hello Joel, and it prints hello Joel only when I is equal to Joel. And then and for the rest of the items, it is going to say new name, because we have uh, run this code else. Okay, so hope you understand what is going down. Right, so hope you understand about while loops, for loops. And now let's see look at while loops. So right, I'm just going to show you how it's going to how we can run a piece of code, for example 20 times. Right, so this is the structure. I'm just going to say, right, so this is also pretty easy to understand, right? So what is going to happen is we are going to write while I is less than equal to 20. So what is happening will, or what will happen in while loop is, if this condition, just like in if statements, right? So we have this condition, we can just input any type of condition, and if this condition is true, then it is going to run this piece of code, right? So and if this condition is true, it is going to run it again. It is going to run it again until this condition will be false, right? So until this condition will be false, the Python, right? So this while loop will let this piece of code run many times, right? So this piece of code will run many times as long as this condition is true. And then what are we going to do is, at every iteration we are going to add I plus equal to 1 here. I less than or equal to 20 means, if I is less than 20 or equal to 20, we are going to run this piece of code. So what is going to happen is, we are going to keep on adding 1 to this I. So we are going to keep on incrementing this I value one at a time, and then hopefully we are going to print Joel 20 times. There is an error. See, I like is less than. Oh, so we have to in the case of while loop. So in the case of while loop, we have to, you know, first define this variable first, and then we have to run this, use this y as an iteration. That's what is happening. Right. So I just wrote the statement wrong. I is great. I wrote the greater than symbol. So what is happening is, as this statement will be true, this piece of code will run. So I think you can count, it'll run for 20 times. And after that, you know, just observe that we are going to increment the value of I one at a time. So it is going to run 20 times. And I can do it, I can add 2 to I, then it is going to only going to print Joel 10 times, because you know, we are going to skip odd numbers and just go through even numbers. So hope you understand what is going on in while loop, right? So in while loop, the main thing to remember is, you know, until this statement will is false, right? So until this statement will be false, this piece of code will just keep on running, right? So every time this piece of this code will run, it'll come back, it'll jump back, it'll check if this statement is true or false. If this statement is true, it will run it again, and it'll run until this statement will be turned into false. All right, I hope you understand what is going on. And now let's do an exercise. Right, so we are going to solve a problem called fizz buzz. I think that is what we call that, this problem. So what is this is, it is a very simple Python. It is very simple problem. What we are going to do is, we are going to print numbers from 1 to 100. But the trick is, every time the number, we are going to print a number, right? So if the number is 3, if the number is if the number is if the number has a factor of 3, right? So we are going to print fizz and not the number. And then if the number is a factor of 5, we are going to print buzz, right? So we are going to print all the numbers unless the numbers are 3 or 5. So if the number is 3, we are going to print fish. Unless we are, if the number is 5, we are going to print buzz. If both of these conditions are false, we are going to print the number itself. So you can just pause the video and go and, you know, just try to build this up. Just come with an idea and code this little Python program. I can just do it. You know, I'll use a for loop for now. I'm going to say 100. I'm going to check if I is, and now I'll just introduce a new operator to you, right? So this symbol you see here, right? So this symbol is used to get the remainder of a division function. So if I say I mod 2, so if I just say I mod 2, then we are going to get the remainder when we do the division of I divided by 2. So if we divide I by 2, the remainder, so this symbol here will get us the remainder of the division of both of these numbers. Understand? So I'm just going to say, if I mod 2 equal to 0, I mod 3 equal to 0, I'm going to print this. Wait a minute. Right? Uh, elif I mod 5 equal to 0, I'm going to print bus. Right? So if both of these conditions are not true, I'm just going to print I. So just basic code. You understand, we are going to loop from 0 to 100. Now this I is going to change, and if I is if I is divisible by 3, we are going to say fish. If I is divisible by 5, we are going to say bus. Else if both of these conditions are not true, then we are going to print I. Right, so this we just run that. Right, so you can just get all the numbers. Let's we get 1 2 that's it. That is the first problem that we are going to solve. And then the next problem, coming to the next problem, this might be a little bit lengthy, but not complex, just lengthy. Right. So before that, I'll just introduce a new operator to you, a new function. Right. So I'll just write it up. So I'll just random dot randint 10. So wait a minute, 0 and 10 I think. So just got to, I'm going to run print I. So what will happen is, as the name suggests here, random, right? So using this random dot random function, you'll get a random number between this range, right? So between 0 and 10 numbers, you'll just get a random number. That is the function of this that is use of this function. We are going to get a random number. So every time I run, I'll just get a random number, anything. All right. Yeah. So I'm just going to get a random number every time I, you know, run this piece of code. So that's it. That is the random function. Now let's get to the problem that we are going to solve. Rock paper scissors. It's just a game. After we build this game, we'll go into neural networks. Okay. So in the next video, of course. So let's see what is rock paper scissors. Right. So what you have to build. So just build a. I'll just write some here. I'll just write some notes here. What how you have to build this rock paper scissors game. So what you have to do is, first generate a random number. Generate a random number, and what you should do is, first just do it. You know, first create a list with the values of rock, paper, and scissors. Right. So I just want you to first create a list. Right. So this list of values. So first create a list of these values: rock, paper, papers, and scissors, and then we generate a random number. And right, and then after you generate a random number between 0 and 3, of course, just get that number, and you know, whatever number that is, right? So if the number is 0, the random number is 0, you get the first element rock. If the number is 1, you'll get the second element 1, paper. If the number is 2, you should get the number, you should get the value scissors. Okay. Just first do that, and you know, make it as a computer's move. So the, right, in this game, so this game will be played among the user and the computer. So the user can input any of these values. So user can enter either rock, paper, or scissors, and what the computer has to do is, it has to generate its own move. So the computer is going to generate a random move by the help of this random function. And then after we generate a random number, we are going to just get a value. We are just going to consider what the computer move is. Right. So after that, after we generate the computer's move, what we are going to do is, right, we are going to do some checks. Right. So we first we are going to get the computer's move, and then we are going to get the user's move. What the user can enter any of these three moves, and then after we got the user move also, we are going to run the checks. Right. So if we are going to say, if the user move equal to rock, right, and the computer's move equal to rock, so, or paper, right? So you know the rock paper scissors game, right? And you write the code. So that is what we are going to do. Now let's do that. Right. So we are going to build this game. I'll just build it for you. You know, just you can just read the code. Right. So I'll just first create a list with rock, paper, and scissors. Right. And then I'm going to generate a random number. Right. So I'm going, I can just say computers, or I can just say n is equal to random dot random of 0 and 3. Right. And after that, what I'm going to do, after I generate a random number, I'm going to get the computers move. I'm going to say, right, I'm going to say moves of n. So what we are doing is, we are just going to get the nth element of this list of all the moves. Right. So I'm just going to get the nth element, whatever the random number is, whatever the random number that computer generates, we are going to get that number of move. right? So I'm get the computer move, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the input from the user. I'm going to say users move equal to input, enter your move, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this move, whatever the user enters, I'm going to convert this into lowercase alphabet such that you know we get the value. I'm going to convert into lowercase, and after I convert that into a lowercase, I'm going to do the checks, right? I'm going to say if computers move. First, I'm going to see if computers move is equal to users move. Right. So if both are equal, then we have to say tie, right? I'm just going to print tie. I'm going to run the extra statements. I'm going to say if computers move equal to rock. So I'm going to say if the computers move equal to rock, I'm going to run the following statements. I'm going to say if this statement is true, if the computers move is rock, I'm going to do this checks. I'm going to say if users move equal to paper, I'm going to print who will win. If the computers move is rock and users move is paper, paper wins, right? So I'm going to say you win, right? I'm going to run else statement. I'm going to print computer wins, right? I'm going to do that for the other statements too. I'm going to say if computers move equal paper, I'm going to check if users move equal to rock, print who will win. Who will win? Paper wins, right? I'm going to say computer wins. And then I'm going to run the else statement. Else print who win, you win, right? And then the final statement, if computers move equal to what? Serious, right? I'm going to say if users move. Sorry. So I'm going to say if users move is equal to rock. I'm going to print. So if users move equal to rock, right? Who will win? You win. Else computer wins. Okay. So right. So I'll just run this. So I hope you understand what is going on here, and I think I think you can hear me because it is raining outside. So like if you can just understand what is going on. I'm just going to check if computers move equal to user move. If both are equal, I'm going to print I, right? I'm going to do all these checks, right? If computers move equal to rock, I'm going to run all of I'm going to do all of these checks. If this statement is true, I'm going to check for this statement. If both of these statements are true, if this statement and this statement is true, I'm going to print that. If this statement is true and this statement is false, I'm going to print that, and you'll get the idea, right? And if I just run it, I have an error here. List index out of range. I think I have to put 2 here, 0 and 2, because I know 0, 1, 2 are three numbers. So enter your move. I'll say rock. User move is not defined. Okay, so it is user's move. I think I have made an error. So it is S here. Okay, so I'll just run that. If I say rock, what? Oh, here. I've just made some spelling mistakes. Here have defined it as users, and I've here used as user. So spelling mistakes. Interview rock computer wins. So I'll just print the computer move for you. I'll just print computers move is right. I'll just do that. Now let's say I say paper. Computers move is scissors. So computer wins. All right. I'll just add a space here. All right. Now you can just run this as many times as you want. If I say rock, computer picks paper, so computer wins again. And if I say paper, computer takes scissors and it wins. So computer is winning every time against me. I'll just run it the last time. Scissors, I win. All right. Right. Yeah. Hope you understand what is going on here. Just a little bit of code. Just try to read it, and in the next video, I think we'll go into right. We are going to develop a basic neural network from scratch. Right. We are not going to use any type of libraries. Right. So we are going to build your own brain. Right. So in the next video, we are going to build a artificial brain. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I hope you will meet me in the next video, because next video will be like a big video, and hopefully a very very useful video. So yeah, just try to understand this Python code, and just go through Google, just go through some tutorials, go through some documents, and just try to read all the functionalities of Python, and learn about like there are many more functions here, many more statements in Python that you have to learn. Just go through all of them, and yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.